Hello, this is Amy. Do you know what time it is? Are you able to discern the sign of the times? Today is January 23rd, 2013. 2 days ago, on the 21st, was the inauguration for President Obama. So I'm going to be moving really fast, going through some dreams, visions, and other oddities. I'm not going to go into much detail because I want you to discern this for yourself and just take it as it is. To start out with, we're going to go with 2/8/10. On this date, this was a date when I was speaking with my husband, and he told me that there would be a massive gathering. At first I was thinking, what, like a city gathering? He said, no, it's going to be on a very large scale. And then that's when suddenly this flash of a vision came to me. It was very frightening, and I saw this line of people on this path that reminded me very much so of hell, kind of like I depicted in this picture here. There was a podium where all the people were lined up to, and behind the podium was Obama and Hitler together. Now the really weird thing was, it was very horrifying. You know what the people were there for. They were there to be marked, and if they weren't going to be marked, then, well, of course, they saw their doom. You know, they were going to be killed. Now on the outskirts, like in this picture, from this horrifying event happening, was this city-like area. It was really weird because it was like euphoric, almost like heavenly-like in a utopia way, but if you discerned it, you could immediately tell it was not what it was made out to be. Now why I'm pointing this out is because just the other day my husband came across some information about a place called Astana, and when I immediately saw that, what came to my mind unscrambled was the word a Satan. Now you're going to see the similarity. See the buildings on the side here that we have here in this picture vision that I depicted? Well, here is Astana, and here you're going to see the buildings. And this is like the all-seeing eye. You're going to see other symbolism, New World Order type things. I suggest that you Google it yourself, or you can go to his YouTube channel, Packy Savinus. He's got a video that describes it a little more in detail. Here's another picture from a distance, and you'll even see this kind of reminds me of the White House. And then you have your pillars of gold, so forth, so on. And just like my vision picture, to me, and we're both in agreement of this, it's like this is kind of maybe a place where they have set up for people to be taken. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but I just thought it was really weird that it even unscrambles to a Satan. So the next thing that I want to bring your guys' attention to is something that I dreamed about on 3/19/10. Now you're going to see the 2/8 from the first dream picture and the 3/19 again, but in different years. But on this particular year of 2010, I had this dream where I was by this ocean, and I was in this really big building, almost like a condo building, but I wasn't sure. And I'm looking out on the top floor, and I see this huge tsunami wave about to totally engulf the whole building. And it frightened me very much so. I immediately woke up, and for some reason I looked at the time, and I saw 6:11, like I put in this little collage that I put together here. So I tried to calm myself down, went back to sleep, and I picked up right where I left off on the dream, and this time I'm actually walking along the side of the beach line, and it's like I knew that there was another occurrence about to unfold, whether it be tsunamis, earthquakes, a conjunction, I don't know. But there was also something about a tree with a bunch of light around it. To me it was like symbolic of God's protection. And then right before I woke up, I was told to remember that this is a period of the sixth sign. So here I depicted the sixth sign with like a blood moon type looking thing. And also you can see here, if you mirror backwards and upside down, you can also get, you could get 11/6, you could get 1/16, 1/19, 9/11. I mean, there's a lot of different things, 6/11, a lot of dates that you can get from that. Now, I want to bring to your attention the actual sixth sign here that it's talking about. Now, if you actually go to what the sixth sign is, it reads, "And I beheld when he had opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood." So I wanted to point that out. The next thing that I wanted to talk to you about is a dream that I had that was on 6/5/10. And this was a dream that I talked about in another video, but I didn't go into a lot of detail. In this dream, I was looking out on the water, ocean. There was just a bunch of water, and then I had a bunch of people around me, And it was weird because it was almost like we were on a dock-like surface, but it wasn't a dock. It was just wooden. And we're looking out, and then all of a sudden there's this huge engulfment of like a fire, an explosion or whatnot that just blew up. And what it was to me is it looked almost like maybe a large boat or a barge building or something. I couldn't really tell, but it just blew up. This fire engulfed it. And along with this explosion, it had the name Destroyer on it. And then it blew up, and I saw the name Epoch. But the weird thing was, upon waking, you know how dreams can kind of give you confusing messages? I had Epoch, but I also had Enoch. Now, I'm not really too familiar with Enoch. I did some more research over the years. I did look up Epoch as well, and I want to share that with you. Epoch is a particular period of time marked by a distinctive features, events, or a distinctive period in history. You can read on here on what that might mean. So it's a marked period of importance. Now, I did further research about Enoch. What I found really odd about this is that Enoch was the great-grandfather of Noah, I guess. And then it talks about how Enoch gave him the book of the parables and things that he had written, even though they were lost. Now, Enoch was favored in God's sight. He walked very righteously with God, so he actually did not taste death. God took him up with him, and he never actually died on the surface per se. And then it goes further about this bottom part. Behold, the Lord comes with 10,000s of his saints to execute judgment on all, to convict all who are ungodly among them of their ungodly deeds, which they have committed in an ungodly way. And then it goes on and on. Also, the original Aramaic version was lost of the Book of Enoch until the Dead Sea Scroll fragments were discovered. Here it talks about the 5 books that were in the Book of Enoch, which to me I find very interesting, because in a world that's ran by a lot of darkness, you're going to have a lot of things that are diluted, a lot of things that are illusions, and a lot of wisdom that's hidden. So I find that very odd when I see what the books are all about in Enoch. Okay, so moving further, I wanted to try and depict a picture of this dream that I had about the destroyer and everything. And I remember this one picture from years back, and I found it. And I thought, wow, this is really weird, because this is a painting from an artist from the 1840s, and this happens to be called the Deluge, which means severe flood or great flood. And here all the people are on a wooden surface, looks like maybe an old tree. And in the background, I was like, wait a minute, that's like an explosion or like a fire coming up, like in my dream. So I look further, and I couldn't believe the next thing I saw. It's by the same artist. It just happens to be called The Sixth Seal. And then it has this fire-like explosion coming up. This could be the sky. To me, it kind of looks like it could be water or waves as well. So I wanted to point that out. The other thing that I wanted to move on next to is a dream that I had on, here we go, another 2/8. This was 2/8 of 2011. Now, in this particular dream, I saw a checkered sky of chemtrails that were all over the place. I'm trying to point them out to people, and no one seemed to see what I was seeing. And there was something else about the dream, something about the Middle East being over the U.S. So that's the end of that dream. The next thing I want to point out is another 319, but this was of 2011. And in this dream, all it consisted of was Obama saying, "America is collapsing." Okay, now I want to read you guys something. This gets really weird. Now, on the previous dream regarding epoch or a marked time, if you go to Daniel 11:24, first of all, if you take 2 and 4, that's 6. If you reverse it, then your 11:24 is 6:11. Okay, so here's your Daniel 11:24. He shall enter peaceably even among the fattest places of the province, and he shall do that which his fathers have not done, nor his fathers' fathers, or forefathers. He shall scatter among them the prey and spoil and riches, and he shall forecast his devices against the strongholds, even for a time, or epoch, for a time, a marked time. Okay? Now, the next thing that I wanted to bring your attention to was a dream that I had on 4/25/11. Now, way back when I first got together with my husband, this is like back in the beginning of 2010, I had this saying that kind of came to me, this thing about 11:11 and being told, be beware of falseness. Well, if you take 4 plus 2 plus 5, that's 11, so you have 11, 11. So the dream from 425 of 2011 was a dream about this woman that was very shook up, and she said in a very shaky voice, beware, watch out for the Muslim Brotherhood. And then that's all that she said. Next thing that I want to bring your attention to is a dream that I had on 7/26/11. Okay, this gets kind of weird again. If you take your 7 plus your 2 plus your 6, then that actually gives you 15. 1 plus 5 is 6, so that gives you 6/11. So on 6/11, if you take the dream that I had, the first part of it was about being told that the coming of the Lord is already upon us. Okay, so that's the first part of that dream. Now, if you take the 6:11 from Ephesians, this actually tells you about putting on the whole armor of God and how that is so very important to do that, because put on the whole armor of God that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil, because we are in a spiritual battle. Whether you want to be in acceptance of it or denial of it, it's here. It's always been here, and it's going to continue to unveil itself more and more. It's just a matter of if you're going to unveil your sight and recognize it. But I'll tell you what, you can't be right here. You're either on this side or you're on this side. Okay? And so you need to wake up, and you need to act now, and you need to get right spiritually, and you need to get right with the Lord, because it's the only thing that's going to be able to save you in the spiritual battle. Now, if you reverse this the 6:11, you have 9:11, which happens to be about the battle of the spirits. Now, I'm going to read that to you just really quick. Now, on that, and they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue his name is Apollyon, which is also destruction or destroyer. Okay, are you getting what I'm saying here? So it's all interlinking to me. So that's why I felt it was very important to, reference it to you guys as well. Tell me what you guys are feeling as far as that goes. Now, the next part of this dream that I had, same night, was a highway. It was off the road. It almost looked like it was spray painted, and there was an American flag that was just painted all across the side of this highway. And then what I wanted to add to that is something that I actually wrote almost a year later on 7/11 of 2012. America is collapsing, hissed the serpent in the house, coming from the lawless one confidently through the mouth of hypocrisy. The once painted fields of red, white, and blue now lost its flavor of freedom through the charcoal aftertaste of infiltrated betrayal. Okay, now what I want to jump to next is this dream. This was a dream that I had on 1/22 of last year, 2012. Now, this dream was a little frightening to me because it was a dream where I was actually seeing myself sleeping. My husband was next to me, and in this dream, I could feel all this evil and darkness around, and I woke up in a panic. And in my dream, my husband says, "What time is it?" And I'm trying to focus on the time, but my eyesight was still blurred, and I said, "I don't know, it's something like 2 or 3 in the morning." And the radio was playing in the background, and you could hear Obama talking about how he was RFIDing citizens and detaining them. And I was so scared. I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going on? And I look outside the window in my dream, and I see a man with sunglasses on, and he's not a good man. He's really bad. And then there was these group of people outside, a bunch of strangers, and they said they were going to go on the other side of this hill. And all I remember is I could just feel all this evil all around, and I started to kind of scream and moan a little bit, and then, of course, I woke up. But this brings me to, you have the 122, which here you have Peter 1. If you have the 5 and the 8 and the 9, that equals 22. So be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whomever he may devour. Whom resist steadfast in the faith, knowing that the same afflictions are accomplished in your brethren that are in the world. Okay, now, I'm going to have more that goes into a little more detail about some of these things I just went over. But until then, here's your little sneak peek on the next video. This is about a dream that I had about how, can't you all see that we have all fallen from grace? It's very interesting. I want to share it, but I won't have time. So much love, much peace, much prayers. Stay firm in the faith.